Where we heading, Tom?
We're in Chicago, Illinois. We want to arrest public safety threats. We got all of government approach. We got U.S. Marshals, we got FBI, we got ATF, we got DEA, we got ICE, we got HSI. We got them all here. So the president's plan of all of government to attack illegal alien crime in this city, we're going to address it today, starting now. What's your name?
Seda.
Seda what? You have a first and last name?
Sam.
Seda Sam?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Where I was born or where I'm from?
Where are you born?
Thailand.
You've been deported before from the United States?
No.
Never been deported?
But I've been in the system before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been charged with
Charged for it?
before?
I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer.
Yeah. Are you a citizen?
My mom says it.
Your mother's a citizen?
Yes.
But you're not?
Nope.
But you've never been deported before?
You Dr. Phil. You look like Dr. Phil.
Yeah? How do you know me?
No, I seen Dr. Phil, you know, on TV.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is an example of sanctuary cities, right? We got an illegal alien convicted of sex crimes involving children. And he's walking the streets of Chicago. Again, the downfall, the problem with a sanctuary city, that people like us walking the street rather than local law enforcement working with federal agents. This is what we're dealing with. Yeah. You've been charged with sex crimes with children?
Not really.
Not really? And never been deported?
Nope.
Huh. Let's take them in and process them, lock them up.
Got it, sir.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chopstick, your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, as you can see by that opening clip, the government has been activated under our newly elected president, Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump 2.0, if you've been following along. Well, y'all, he has deployed his border czar, Tom Homan. He has first knighted him and then deployed him to do his work on that wonderful border, with that beautiful border wall, as Donald Trump tends to say. Y'all, things are getting complicated. Things are getting intense. Donald Trump has deployed the military, the United States Marine Corps, down to that border. And if you know, you know. We ain't got to spell that out here, but trust and believe, y'all. The Marines are not there to put wooden planks on a border wall. No. The Mexican cartels have been placed on alert. If you look at the groups that have been deployed to that border, these men and women have seen combat. And they are combat ready. So if somebody want to feel froggish, you might as well go on and leap. And you will get dealt with right there on that border by the United States military. Well, a little further inside the border, y'all, round about the Midwest, Illinois, Chicago to be specific, Tom Homan hit the streets of Chicago, and not only did he hit the streets, but he needed a witness, y'all. He took Dr. Phil with him. Dr. Phil and his cameras were unleashed on the city of Chicago to round up these convicted felons. Y'all understand what is going on here. Now, not only convicted felons are being rounded up. If you're illegal in this country, you are illegal. You have committed a crime just by being here. Your very existence is a crime. So ain't nobody faulting Tom Homan for that, but understand that the true purpose of these raids that are going on in cities like Chicago and LA, these raids, the purpose is to capture convicted criminals. And here in this opening, you have a case of a man here from Thailand who's been convicted of touching on the kids. Tom Homan, if I could impress on you just a little piece, we got some folks in these churches that been touching on the kids too. Now, I understand they here legally, but if you could spare a moment or two, they need to be rounded up. Anybody who touches the kids, I don't care where you're from, who you are, what color you are, if you're touching on the kids, they don't only deserve to be deported. We got some who belong here, who deserve to be incarcerated. I hope you find time. As you disperse this authority among many different departments of the government, I hope you find a little time to go after them. I know that's not your job, you the border czar, but we got Kristi Noem that's going to handle it. We got Kash Patel that's going to handle it. We trust in this new government. We have a little faith because things have gotten out of control over the last few years where criminality has become acceptable under the Biden-Harris administration. That's why we are so thankful to God that America saw through the facade, who saw through the fake lies and stories trying to sell you a bill of goods in order to get your vote, tried to buy your vote by buying off celebrities that they thought you were paying attention to. Well, America saw through it, and here we are, y'all, just 1 week into the new administration. And we're feeling pretty good about some of the things that have happened over this weekend.
Now, let's step back to talk about what this has created in the Chicago area within the migrant and immigrant community. I can tell you that there is extreme panic from talking to organization leaders and contacts and sources here. They tell me that there is a sense of panic. And one of the examples that they used is an anecdote of a family from Venezuela, a migrant family who arrived here about 2 years ago. They have 2 young girls, elementary school aged, and they say that they have not left their homes since Trump took office, since he was inaugurated last week. So this is 2 elementary age girls who have not gone to school. Their parents have not gone to work. They are cooped up in their apartment. This organization learned about them, and so they have been dropping off groceries. And this organization tells me that the number of individuals who now need groceries because they're cooped up in their homes has grown. And so those are the types of stories that we're starting to hear about in the Chicago area as this focus on Chicago clamps down. So, John, we're going to continue monitoring the situation. I'm talking to a lot of contacts and sources to try to learn more about the arrests that happened here in Chicago yesterday, and also asking ICE about more information regarding these arrests.
Sitting down for a one-on-one interview today, talking about what the city is doing. And he made it clear that Chicago will not be intimidated by any threats of action from the Trump administration, even ones that could land him or the city in court. Mayor Brandon Johnson ready for wherever the battle may go over the rights of undocumented immigrants who are just minding their own business and going about their lives. What do you make of the fact that there have been no raids so far?
Well, first of all, let me just reaffirm our position as clearly as I possibly can, that we will always remain a welcoming and sanctuary space.
The mayor said he has no intelligence on when any raids by ICE agents could happen or how many people might be targeted, although sources have told ABC7 Homeland Security is going after dozens of people here in Chicago. The Trump DOJ seems to now have taken off the gloves by saying that they will pursue deportation targets in schools and churches. What is your response?
And I find that to be quite frank with you, I find that to be unconscionable and reprehensible.
A Department of Justice memo this week said those who impede immigration enforcement could be subject to prosecution. Do you believe that you could be targeted because of Chicago's welcoming city ordinance?
Well, look, my main focus is protecting the residents and the people of the city of Chicago. You know, the threats that are coming from this current administration are threats that we're not intimidated by.
U.S. attorneys' offices across the country have also been directed to review sanctuary laws and be prepared to challenge them in court if warranted. How is the city preparing to defend the welcoming city ordinance?
Yeah, so I've directed my corporate counsel to look at all of the executive orders that are coming from the current administration, and we will have a comprehensive response to each of those executive orders.
The mayor telling me the main objective at this moment is to ensure the safety of the people of Chicago. And Johnson says the city will stand up against what he called intimidation and fear-stoking coming from the Trump administration.
I agree with Tom Homan. He says it's much more dangerous this way. He wishes that his men could just walk into a jail cell, have a safe transfer of an illegal alien from the jail cell to deportation custody, get them out of here to their home country. It'd be a lot safer now that you have driven these people underground. Now that you have government agencies and government officials that are sending out official warnings, obstructing justice. Now you got these people who have gone underground, and now law enforcement got to go underground and go get them. Well, y'all, it's going to be a little more dangerous in those situations. Thank God that these law enforcement officers are built for the job. Kind of hurtful when you see a different administration with a different philosophy and these people just fall in line with the other philosophy, even against their own will and their own beliefs. You say, well, man, you ain't got no principles, even though you've taken an oath to the Constitution. No, you ain't got no principles. You're just an agent of the state. And depending on what president is in office, that's the way you're going to go. You're going to do whatever you're told to do by the state. That is unfortunate because we need people in government who are going to stand up for truth, who are going to stand by that oath they took. Now you got people who were loyal and faithful to Joe Biden's policies now saying, oh, we are loyal and faithful to Donald Trump's policies and we're going to enforce them. Well, maybe those folks need to be eradicated from government. Maybe they need to be excused from duty and retire early because your loyalty is not to America. Your loyalty is to a paycheck. You're going to do whatever you got to do to make that little coin, to make that little overtime. And we understand we all got families to feed. We know what it is, but bruh, you have taken an oath. You have sworn with your hand on the Bible. Maybe that was just procedural. Maybe you didn't really mean it. Maybe you just did what you had to do to get that job. Well, it's more than a job. It is a commitment. And it requires some loyalty to the American people. Loyalty that law enforcement has abdicated over the last 4 years. So we looking at y'all with the side eye. Are you really here for America? Do you really believe in what you're doing? Do you really believe in locking up the criminal aliens? Or are you just doing what you're told by your supervisor so you can get that little overtime and get your bills paid? Well, we're going to find out, y'all, because you can't fake it forever. And here we are just 1 week into the administration and things are ramping up.
The estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
While you are emphasizing that you go after national security threats, you have said no one's off the table. If you're in the country illegally, you better be looking over your shoulder. You should be afraid and start packing now. Is that what you're doing to get hotel workers out or people working on farms, that they'll be so scared they just leave?
Look, I think if you're in the country illegally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country. We have millions of people standing in line, taking the test, doing their background investigation, paying the fees that want to come in the right way.
Let's talk about the arrests so far. Numbers released the first day were over 500, and there were reports that one was a suspected terrorist, others were gang members. Were all of the people who were arrested on day one, as far as you know, convicted criminals or those who had been arrested before?
No. And let me explain that. There are collateral arrests. Where do collateral arrests happen? Sanctuary cities. And this is important we understand that. Sanctuary cities lock us out of the jails. So instead of ICE being able to arrest the bad guy, the criminal alien, in the safety and security of a jail where the officer's safe, the alien's safe, and the public's safe, sanctuary cities release them back in the community, which endangers the community, putting the criminal alien back in the community. But when we find him, he's going to be with others, most likely. Many times they're with others. If they're in the country illegally, they're coming too.
But were these arrests all in sanctuary cities? It doesn't appear so on the first day.
The collaterals, many more. I don't have the exact breakdown. But again,
so the arrests in Massachusetts,
cities,
in Chelsea, Massachusetts, which the governor said it's great to arrest the criminals who have been convicted, but were there people taken there as well who were not convicted? Were they, as you say, collaterals?
I'm sure they are.
Y'all don't act surprised when you see these actions on the street, taking over the news cycle, making all the headlines in your online blogs and your news stories. We knew this was coming. It was forecasted. And it was also forecasted in the illegal alien communities. Yeah, not one community, because you got so many different ethnicities that are here illegally. Y'all, you got your Chinese that are here for nefarious reasons. You got your Indians that are here trying to get tech jobs. You got your Mexicans that are here trying to work the farms. But you got a certain demographic, y'all, that are here from all across different countries that have committed crimes and who are wanted men and women in their home countries who have come here for a safe haven. Over 13,000 convicted murderers allowed in this country, welcomed by the Biden administration. Y'all, they are here. They are among us. And you want to question my Second Amendment rights? No, you letting murderers walk the streets of America. Teenage boys from Venezuela who are assaulting police in New York City, who are shooting and robbing citizens of New York. And yet, New Yorkers can't defend themselves under the Second Amendment? No, the devil is a lie. No, this is America. And Americans are going to begin standing up for their own safety under this new administration that I believe is going to give you all the rights to do so. And we're happy about it. Yeah, we stand by this president and we stand by this administration, and we are happy to see America eradicated of these illegal aliens who have been grifting off the taxpayers of this country for far too long.
Promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting illegal immigration. From coast to coast, ICE agents going city to city, sometimes door to door, tracking down the nearly 1.5 million undocumented set for deportation. And as ICE closes in on migrants, once vibrant Chicago neighborhoods are now turning into ghost towns. And tonight we are taking you to a neighborhood that has gone silent.
Like I said from day one, no one's off the table.
The Trump administration setting out to execute what it has promised.
We arrested 1,300 people. Over 1,000 of them were criminals.
Immigration and customs enforcement operations reportedly underway in jurisdictions all across the nation. Federal agents have been spotted in many sanctuary cities carrying out these operations.
I hope the sanctuary cities come around.
The usually bustling and vibrant streets of this Hispanic neighborhood in Chicago sit relatively empty because of the concerns over ICE.
Welcome to Mesquite Restaurant, sir.
This little taqueria, like most in the Pilsen neighborhood, is owned and operated by immigrants. The Cruz family, who in 1994 made the long journey from Mexico City to Chicago to grow their little taco stand into a thriving restaurant.
We got tacos, we got breakfast, chilaquiles.
This American dream is one thousands of migrants are striving for when they cross the southern border. But the drastic shutdown of illegal immigration is a campaign promise the majority of American voters are expecting Donald Trump to make good on.
Honest to you, when he come back again, I was like, man, I feel scared.
President Trump, border czar Tom Homan, and the highest-ranking members of Immigration and Customs Enforcement say they're only targeting violent criminals during these initial deportations. News Nation has seen what these operations look like. I rode along and conducted early morning raids with ICE agents when they arrested men from Iraq and Belize.
Here has been running the numbers for us on this one. What are you seeing?
What am I seeing? I just want to know how different things are from where we were when Donald Trump first took office, and how much more the American people are on the side of Republicans than they were 8 years ago. So trust which party more on immigration. You go back to April of 2017. Look at this. The Democrats held an 11-point advantage over Republicans. So Americans were not liking what Donald Trump and the Republican Party was doing back at the beginning of his first term. Look at where they are now, though. Poll out just in the last week. After Donald Trump took office, which party you trust more in immigration? Look at the margin Republicans are putting up here. A 22-point lead over Democrats. You rarely see issues in which the American people side so much with one party over the other. But on the main issue that Donald Trump has been pumping up and Republicans have been pumping up since the beginning of his term, that began just 1 week ago, Republicans lead overwhelmingly on this. It's not just unusual for right now. It's just so much different than where we were 8 years ago. It just gives the Republicans a lot more leverage.
And also, how are you measuring the boost, or how much voters, Americans are liking, or what they're thinking about Donald Trump and what he's doing now versus Biden?
Yeah, we always talk about this right direction, wrong direction, right track, wrong track number, right? And normally, you might expect the right direction, right track number to be really, really low. And on immigration, what track is the U.S. on? You go back last month, just 14% of Americans thought we were on the right track, according to Ipsos Reuters. Look at that. The wrong track was 62%. Look how much the right percentage is up this month since Donald Trump took office. It's up 23 points to 37%, pretty much right next to that wrong track number at 42%. Still slightly more Americans saying we're on the wrong track than the right track, but the right track number has gone through the roof, up to 37%, a 23-point jump since Donald Trump took office. So the bottom line is this. Many more Americans are saying that the country is on the right track right now. They're liking a lot more of what we're doing on immigration than just a month ago in the Joe Biden administration. They're liking a lot more what Republicans and what Donald Trump are doing than what they thought of what Joe Biden and the Democrats are doing.
Then I assume that the trend is the same when you look specifically at Donald Trump on immigration?
Yeah, it's very similar. So take a look here. You know, job Trump is doing on immigration. Here you see it, 46% approve. 39% disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that 46% is bigger than 39%. Americans approve of what Donald Trump is doing in immigration. They're much more likely to trust Republicans' immigration than Democrats, and far more Americans say the country's on the right track with concern to immigration than they did under Joe Biden. Simply put, immigration is an issue that the Republicans and Donald Trump are going to go to the well over and over and over again because Americans are much more on their side than they are on the Democrat side.
And there you have it, y'all. Tom Homan, the new border czar, after 1 week, putting the smackdown on that border and in major cities across this country. Yeah, the word is getting out pretty fast. You got farm workers not showing up for work. You got construction workers not showing up for work. Well, maybe some of those companies need to be held accountable as well for hiring people who should have never been hired. Yeah, you're shooting for that low-wage labor. But you yourself, as a company licensed to operate in America, you yourself are breaking America's laws, and you need to be held accountable as well. Y'all let me know what you think about this as Tom Homan ramps up his deportation efforts. As Donald Trump doubles down on promises made, promises kept. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts, y'all. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.